Big shock for Mercedes following Lewis Hamilton's statement. We're gonna be going through that and 5 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Mercedes content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel hitting that red button down below. The first story is Lewis Hamilton had this to say about his future in F1 which shocked Mercedes. It takes supreme levels of mental and physical dedication to be a Formula One driver. Contrary to the beliefs of casual viewers and armchair athletes, pushing a Formula One car to speeds in excess of 370 kilometers per hour, performing razor-sharp turns and dodging hazards with lightning-quick reflexes is not easy. It takes years of training, commitment, and hard work to even sniff the cockpit of one of the world's most innovative high-performance vehicles. And it's starting to catch up to Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton has been a dominant force on the Formula One circuit since entering the competition in 2007, winning 7 Drivers' Championships, the joint most of all time, including 6 out of 7 championships from 2014 to 2020. Hamilton has also racked up a staggering 103 wins, the most by any Formula One driver ever. Despite his illustrious track record, it's been tough going for Hamilton over the last 2 seasons. 2022 was the first year the 38-year-old failed to win a single race on the circuit, leading to doubts surrounding the star's future. Regardless of having a down season by his sky-high standards and the cruel march of father time leading Hamilton into the twilight of his career, many fans would assume the 38-year-old still has plenty left in the tank, but it seems he could be closer to retirement than most would expect. In a sensational interview with German newspaper Bild, Hamilton let a shocking admission slip. "Sometimes you wake up and have this feeling, I don't want to do this anymore," he said. Heading into another grueling year, there are important questions that athletes must ask themselves. Hamilton is no different. He says it's important to ensure he's still motivated and committed to the sport at the start of every season. You have to ask yourself, are you willing to give as much, if not more than you did when you first started? Are you willing to give up all the time to prepare and train and work with the team and deliver? Hamilton told Racing News 365. In a sport where commitment is essential, Hamilton's motivation could be waning as he takes interest in other aspects of life. "For me, motorsport is not the most important thing either. When I was a kid, maybe it was," he said. "Since I've been in my 30 seconds, I've realized that it's all about creating memories. With friends, with family. That's what I focus on and plan things to create these moments. Because that's what you take with you in the long run." Hamilton's interests certainly look like they are shifting away from racing. "Sometimes you wake up and think, I can still do other things my whole life. There is definitely more I want to achieve," he added. Hamilton has already built something of an empire to prepare himself for life outside of sport. A slew of business ventures including a clothing line, a plant-based fast food franchise, and a film production company mean he'll still have his hands full once he retires from racing. Hamilton listed the criteria that would determine whether it's time to quit. "If there's ever a moment that I'm arriving and I'm just coasting along, then that's when I don't personally belong here and don't deserve a position here, and that's when I should stop," he said. F1 fans say Hamilton has already been ousted as Mercedes' #1 driver following his disappointing 2022 season. 58% of respondents in a poll from Sports Express indicated that they viewed Hamilton's teammate and fellow Englishman George Russell as the team's main star and primary championship contender. Hamilton is still locked into a contract with Mercedes for the 2023 season. Beyond that, his future is unknown. He's yet to put pen to paper on a multi-year extension that would almost certainly be the last of his career. With his latest admission, the likelihood of 2023 being Hamilton's final year is growing. Before he calls it quits, Hamilton has a vision of the perfect send-off. "Quitting as a world champion is, I think, a dream that every athlete has, and so do I," he said. The 2023 Formula One season will begin with the Bahrain Grand Prix on March 5th. All eyes will be on Lewis Hamilton to see if he can secure a storytale ending to a remarkable career, and few would count him out. The second story is Toto Wolff has claimed Lewis Hamilton's deal will be renewed despite rumors contract talks have stalled. The Mercedes boss has previously claimed a new agreement would be signed over the winter, but stressed there was no firm deadline to put pen to paper. Wolff explained, "Well, the job list is pretty long and what is needed to be done, but certainly Lewis' contract is one of the topics that we will tackle over the winter, but there is no firm deadline." Wolff replied absolutely when pushed on how certain he was that Hamilton would remain with the team. He added, "Lewis is part of the team and the team is part of Lewis. There is no reason to not continue. I think one of his strengths is that he is always hungry. He is a great sportsman, but he is also someone who is extremely driven and determined. He is always eager." Wolff's past comments help cool speculation that talks have broken down between Hamilton and the Silver Arrows. When asked whether details on a new deal were close, Hamilton admitted talks had not even begun. However, he stressed the grueling 23-race calendar was a major reason for the lack of inroads. He told Bild, "We haven't started yet. So far, there has been no time for this. We were on the road." Hamilton's current deal expires at the end of the 2023 season, but the Briton has accepted he would be looking to stay. The 38-year-old previously claimed he would walk away from F1 before his 40 seconds, but appears to have made a U-turn. The third story is George Russell raises safety concerns for F1 crashes due to extraordinary car weight. George Russell says he is worried that continuing to increase the weight of F1 cars risks crossing the line and could impact safety. Following a major overhaul to the aerodynamic regulations, F1 cars are now at the heaviest they have ever been at a minimum weight of 798 kilograms, thanks to an increase of 3 kilograms on the eve of the 2022 season. Speaking to Crash.net about the regulation changes for 2022, the Mercedes driver, who is a director of the Grand Prix Drivers Association, revealed the concerns he has. "There's a lot of positives to take from this regulation change, but equally, the big is the weight," said Russell. "The weight is extraordinary. At the moment, the low-speed performance is not great. We keep making these cars safer and safer, but obviously the heavier you make them when you have an impact, it's like crashing with a bus compared to a smart car. You're going to have a greater impact if you're going the same speed with a car that weighs 800-odd kgs or over 900 kgs at the start of a race, compared to one 15 years ago when they were at 650 kilograms. And I'm sure there's analysis going on about striking that right balance, because I don't know where the line is drawn. If you just keep making it heavier, 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 stronger, 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 actually you get to a point where you cross over that too heavy is actually not safer." The fourth story is key W14 changes as Mercedes look to mount championship bid. Prior to the 2022 season, Mercedes had won 8 consecutive constructors' championships, designing some of the most impressive pieces of machinery ever seen along the way. When the major regulation changes came into effect at the start of last year, it was expected that it would be business as usual at Mercedes, and that they would easily produce a car capable of at least challenging for the title. Shockingly, the team got their design pathway horribly wrong and created a W13 fully of flaws and problems, putting them out of the title race with Ferrari and Red Bull before it had even really started. The W13 harbored a major porpoising problem which perplexed the Mercedes engineers and took them half of the season to solve, meaning that the performance of the car was not improved significantly until after the summer break. Once the team managed to apply major upgrades to the W13 in Austin prior to the US Grand Prix, the Silver Arrows became somewhat competitive, fighting for wins and even picking up a victory in Brazil courtesy of George Russell. With the 2023 season fast approaching, Mercedes have already sent a warning shot to their rivals, showing on social media that they have already fired up the engine of the W14 for the first time, meaning they are well underway with the development of their 2023 challenger. The Silver Arrows are reportedly confident that their power unit will be competitive as always, suggesting that its performance is in line with Honda and Ferrari. With aerodynamics and ride height playing a massive part in Mercedes' 2022 shortcomings, the W14 will feature a revolutionized underfloor, with sections of the diffuser throat and venturi channels being redesigned ahead of next season. The team will also look to make strides forward with regards to their gearbox, as they seek to produce a much more competitive car than the W13 this year. Fortunately for Mercedes, the changes in regulations in 2023 are nowhere near as major as the previous season, with teams only having to combat a reduction in the minimum weight of the cars. Multiple teams have claimed that their cars were overweight in 2022, meaning that this reduction in minimum weight will provide engineers with the change to significantly lighten their cars compared to last season. The fifth story is porpoising had more consequences for Mercedes. According to Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff, porpoising not only cost his team months of development time but also wrecked the engine. Despite this, the team slowly managed to improve performance without compromising on reliability. Mercedes suffered their worst season since the team's dominance began with the introduction of the turbo hybrid era in 2014. For a long time, the team was in no man's land. The performances shown by Red Bull Racing and Ferrari were too high, but but Lewis Hamilton and George Russell mostly ran away from midfield. The biggest problem for the German racing stable was porpoising. Not only did it hamper drivers and performance, but it also caused damage to the engines. In a joint interview with Hywel Thomas, director of Mercedes' engine department, Wolff praised his colleague for the way he dealt with the problems. Whilst in a frozen environment, you and your team were able to really add on performance, cope with the difficult environment of a bouncing car that was breaking your engine, and still we were super reliable. And the engine was performing very well towards the middle of the season and the end, Wolff said in a video on the Mercedes YouTube channel. Thomas added that the power unit was indeed suffering badly at the bottom end. It was quite a surprise to see exactly how hard they were being hit by the ground. You know, when you see Lewis and George looking a bit uncomfortable getting out of the cars, the PUs were doing pretty much the same. He continued, whatever we added in terms of downforce, the drivers couldn't feel it. The car became even more unpredictable and bouncing got worse. Wolff fears this has left his team too far behind rivals at Red Bull Racing and Ferrari.